Okay, so let's talk about the invisible forces that are right now shaping your life. We're going to pull back the curtain on all these hidden cues in your environment and even the beliefs in your own mind that can either keep you trapped or totally set you free. You know that feeling, right? Where you're putting in all the work, you're trying so hard to move forward, but you just feel completely stuck. It's so frustrating and it can feel really isolating. But turns out almost everyone goes through this, we just don't talk about it enough. So let's dive in. And to help us make sense of it all, we're going to lean on the work of Adam Alter. He's a professor over at NYU. And his research is all about this fascinating space where psychology and decision-making meet. He's got some incredible insights into how we can break free from the patterns that hold us back. So, first things first, we've got to understand the psychology of what it means to be stuck. And here's the most important part. Feeling this way is not some personal failure. Nope. It's a completely normal part of being human. Adam Alter calls this feeling stagnation, which he defines as a kind of cognitive dead end. But here's the big mindset shift he wants us to make. This isn't a final judgment on who you are or what you're capable of. Think of it more like valuable information. It's a signal from your life telling you that your current approach just isn't working anymore. And it feels like the modern world just makes it all worse. You've got social media showing you this endless highlight reel of everyone else's effortless success, which makes you feel totally alone in your own struggles. Then you've got work, which often pushes us to become so specialized that our world starts to shrink. And what happens? We start to internalize it all. We blame ourselves instead of our situation. And then that fear of making a mistake, well, it can paralyze you, keeping you from doing anything at all. This quote from Alter really hits on the solution. His research makes it super clear that the ability to just push through that discomfort, to really dig in when things get hard, is one of the most important skills for success in the long run. It's all about building up the grit to keep going, even when every part of you wants to quit. All right, let's move on, because this is where things get really wild. It turns out that a lot of the things keeping us stuck are completely invisible. They're these subtle cues in our environment that are steering our biggest life decisions, and we don't even realize it's happening. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but hear me out. Alter's work brings up something called the name-letter effect. It's this incredibly powerful unconscious bias, where we're just drawn to things that remind us of ourselves, starting with our own name. Just look at these examples. It's wild. It all comes from this thing called implicit egotism. Basically, our ego unconsciously loves seeing itself reflected in the world. So people are actually more likely to donate to a hurricane if it shares their first initial. Someone named Jack is statistically more likely to move to Jacksonville. Even something as simple as how easy your name is to pronounce can make a difference. Psychologists call it cognitive fluency, and it can literally make people trust you more. These aren't choices we're aware of making. It's our minds quietly guiding us. And it's not just our names. The colors all around us are acting like silent triggers. Blues and greens tend to make us feel calm and think more creatively, which is why so many offices are painted blue. Red, on the other hand, can actually make your heart beat faster, creating this sense of urgency or even agitation. Your environment is constantly talking to your body, whether you're paying attention or not. So we've talked about the outside forces. Now let's turn inward and look at one of the biggest mental traps we set for ourselves. This idea that creativity should be easy, and that if we're struggling, it must mean we're failing. Alter calls this the creative cliff illusion. It's that little voice in your head that whispers, hey, the first couple of ideas came easy, but now it's hard. I guess I'm out of good ideas. This is so dangerous because it makes us quit right before the breakthrough, creating this self-fulfilling prophecy where we never get to our best work. And this chart shows you exactly why that thinking is just plain wrong. Your first ideas, the easy ones, they're usually the most obvious ones, the same ideas everyone else has. But look what happens when you push through that wall of frustration. The quality and the originality of your ideas actually go up. That's where the real innovation lives. So here's the bottom line. That feeling of being stuck isn't a sign to stop. It's actually a requirement for doing something great. The struggle isn't getting in the way of the creative work. The struggle is the creative work. Okay, so we get the problem. We see all these external and internal forces working against us. But what do we actually do about it? How do we break free? Let's get into some practical tools from Alter's research. Alter lays out 3 main strategies to break out of that feeling of stagnation. We're going to focus on 2 that are super powerful and accessible for pretty much anyone, using small targeted impulses to build momentum and tapping into your community to break that feeling of isolation. He also talks about the geographical pivot, which is a much bigger move, like using a new city to reinvent yourself. Let's start with targeted impulses, because anyone can do this, seriously. When a huge change feels like too much, just start with something tiny. Take a different way to work tomorrow. Try a new recipe for dinner. These little things jolt your brain out of its autopilot mode. They build what's called self-efficacy, that feeling that you're in control, and they get you to prioritize doing something over just planning forever. The second tool is all about connection. Look, in a world where everyone's posting their perfect life online, just admitting that you feel stuck is a pretty radical act. And Alter says it does 2 amazing things. First, it just lightens your own load. But second, and maybe more importantly, it gives other people permission to be honest about their own struggles. That creates real connection and opens you up to ideas you never would have found by yourself. Okay, let's tie all of this together now. Because understanding these forces isn't just about getting out of a temporary slump. It's about completely redesigning your life so that it's set up for constant growth. What this really means is you have to become an architect of your own potential. You've got to stop seeing your environment, your friends, and your habits as all these separate little pieces. Instead, see them as one big, interconnected system that you can and you must design on purpose to support the person you're trying to become. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway from Adam Alter's work. We can't always control the things that happen to us, but we can take total responsibility for the world we build around ourselves, one choice at a time. The little things you do today literally create the world you're going to live in tomorrow. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. It doesn't have to be some huge, life-altering decision. What is one small, targeted choice you can make today to start chipping away at those walls and start designing a life that actually feels like your own?